Most people think luxury cars are all the same. Leather seats, big engines, expensive logos. But Rolls-Royce exists in a completely different universe, because Rolls-Royce was never built to compete with normal luxury cars. It was built to dominate them silently. For more than 100 years, kings, billionaires, celebrities, and world leaders have all chased the same thing. The feeling of sitting inside a Rolls-Royce, not driving one, sitting inside one. Because a Rolls-Royce is not just transportation, it is a moving symbol of power. And the higher you climb through the levels, the more insane things become. Some Rolls-Royce cars are simply luxurious, others feel like private mansions on wheels. And a few are so rare that most people on Earth will never even see them in real life. So today we are climbing through the 7 levels of Rolls-Royce. From old forgotten classics all the way to handcrafted masterpieces worth tens of millions of dollars. And trust me, by the time we reach level 7, these cars stop feeling real. Level 1. The first taste of Rolls. Most people believe every Rolls-Royce costs millions, but surprisingly there is actually a cheap way into the brand. Old used Rolls-Royce models, cars like the Silver Spirit, the Silver Shadow, or older Ghost models. Sometimes these cars cost less than a modern BMW, and honestly that sounds impossible, because visually they still look incredibly expensive. The giant grille, the endless hood, the iconic Spirit of Ecstasy standing proudly in the front. Even after decades, these cars still command attention. And that is where the dream begins. People see old Rolls-Royce listings online and suddenly believe they found a secret shortcut into billionaire luxury. For a moment, it feels like the greatest deal on earth, a Rolls-Royce for the price of a family SUV. But then reality arrives, because owning an old Rolls-Royce can become terrifyingly expensive. The purchase price drops, but the maintenance cost never disappears. Simple repairs can cost thousands of dollars. Tiny handcrafted parts become impossible to replace. Even finding mechanics capable of properly fixing these cars becomes difficult. And suddenly people realize something fascinating. Buying a Rolls-Royce is easy. Maintaining one is the real luxury. But despite all of that, people still chase them, because even old Rolls-Royce cars create a strange emotional feeling. The moment the doors close, the outside world suddenly feels quieter. The seats feel softer than furniture. The cabin smells like expensive leather and polished wood, and for a few moments normal life disappears. That feeling becomes addictive. And that is why even forgotten Rolls-Royce models still hold power. Because they do not sell speed, they sell presence, the feeling that the world slows down when you arrive. Level 2. The modern business class. Now things begin to evolve, because this is where Rolls-Royce starts feeling modern, elegant, smooth, silent, dangerously silent. This is the Rolls-Royce Ghost, a car designed for wealthy business owners who want luxury without attracting too much attention. Unlike Lamborghinis or Ferraris, the Ghost does not scream for attention. Its power feels calm, controlled, confident. And honestly, that confidence makes it even more intimidating. Level 3. The Dark Millionaire. Now things become more aggressive, because Level 3 introduces one of the most dangerous Rolls-Royce cars ever created, the Rolls-Royce Wraith. Unlike traditional Rolls-Royce models designed for passengers sitting in the back, the Wraith was designed for people who actually wanted to drive, and wealthy people loved it, because the Wraith combined luxury with hidden violence. Under the hood sat a massive V12 engine capable of producing enormous power. But unlike supercars, the speed never felt chaotic. That is what makes Rolls-Royce performance so strange. In a Ferrari, you hear the speed. In a Lamborghini, you feel the aggression. But in a Rolls-Royce, the speed feels silent, smooth, controlled. One moment you are relaxed, the next moment you are flying down the highway without realizing it. And visually, the Wraith looked intimidating. Dark colors, long body, sharp presence. It felt like the automotive version of a billionaire wearing a black suit. Quiet, elegant, dangerous. And suddenly, Rolls-Royce was no longer only for old businessmen and royalty. Now younger millionaires wanted one too, because the Wraith proved something important. Luxury could still feel powerful. Luxury could still feel exciting. And that changed everything. Inside the Ghost, almost every surface is handcrafted. Real wood, real metal, hand-stitched leather. Nothing feels fake, nothing feels cheap. Even the buttons feel expensive. The doors are so heavy and perfectly balanced that they close themselves automatically. But the craziest part is the suspension system. Rolls-Royce engineers spent years trying to eliminate the feeling of driving. Their goal was simple: make the car float. And somehow they succeeded. Driving a Ghost feels strange. Road bumps disappear, noise disappears. The outside world feels disconnected. At this level, luxury stops feeling mechanical and starts feeling emotional. This is no longer transportation. It becomes an experience. And that experience changes people. Because once someone experiences this level of comfort, normal luxury cars suddenly feel ordinary. That is the dangerous thing about Rolls-Royce. It permanently changes expectations. Level 4. The Open-Top Elite. At level 4, Rolls-Royce stops caring about practicality. Now it becomes something else entirely. This is the Rolls-Royce Dawn, a giant luxury convertible designed for people who want the entire world to watch them arrive. And honestly, almost everything about this car sounds ridiculous. It is massive, heavy, extremely expensive, and completely unnecessary, but somehow it feels beautiful. The roof opens silently like a luxury yacht transforming in the middle of the ocean, and once the roof disappears, the entire car changes personality. Suddenly, the outside world becomes part of the experience. The sunlight, the ocean air, the city lights, everything feels cinematic. This is not the type of car people buy because they need transportation. This is the type of car people buy because they want attention without asking for it directly. And that is the genius of Rolls-Royce. The luxury never feels desperate. It feels natural. The Dawn became extremely popular in places like Dubai, Monaco, Beverly Hills, and Miami, places where luxury itself becomes entertainment. Because driving a Rolls-Royce Dawn is not about reaching your destination quickly. It is about enjoying the journey slowly. At this level, luxury becomes emotional. The car is no longer just a machine. It becomes a lifestyle, a moving symbol of success. And for many wealthy people, that emotional feeling matters more than speed itself. Level 5, the king of luxury SUVs. Then came the car that shocked the entire automotive world, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, the world's first ultra-luxury SUV from Rolls-Royce. And when people first heard about it, many believed it would fail, because the idea sounded strange. A Rolls-Royce SUV? It almost felt wrong. But then people saw it in real life, and suddenly everything changed. The Cullinan looked enormous, like a luxury apartment built on wheels. But unlike aggressive SUVs that try hard to appear powerful, the Cullinan looked calm, confident, untouchable. That silent confidence made it feel even more expensive. Inside, the luxury became unbelievable. Champagne coolers, starlight ceilings, massive rear seats softer than couches, handcrafted materials everywhere, and enough silence inside the cabin to hear your own breathing. But what truly made the Cullinan special was its versatility. This was not a fragile luxury car. This was a Rolls-Royce capable of traveling almost anywhere. Mountains, snow, deserts, private airports, luxury resorts. Nothing stopped it. And because of that, billionaires everywhere suddenly wanted one. The Cullinan quickly became one of the most successful Rolls-Royce vehicles ever created because it solved a major problem for wealthy people. How do you travel everywhere without sacrificing luxury? The Cullinan answered that question perfectly, and after its success, almost every luxury brand rushed to create ultra-luxury SUVs. Bentley, Lamborghini, Ferrari, everyone followed. But Rolls-Royce arrived first, and for many people, it still feels like the king of the category.
Level 6. The Phantom. Now we arrive at the car most people dream about. The Rolls-Royce Phantom. This is not simply a luxury car. This is automotive royalty. World leaders ride in these cars. Kings ride in these cars. Billionaires sit quietly in the back seats, while chauffeurs drive them through private gates and luxury hotels. Everything about the Phantom feels excessive. The giant grille, the endless hood, the massive body, the impossible silence. At high speed, the loudest sound inside the cabin is often the clock ticking softly in the dashboard. That is how quiet the Phantom is. Rolls-Royce engineers became obsessed with perfection while designing this car. They reportedly tested different umbrella sounds because they wanted every tiny detail to feel luxurious. Even the doors feel special. They open backwards like something from another era. And when they close, the outside world disappears completely. The Phantom does not try to impress people with aggressive speed or futuristic technology. Instead, it focuses on something far more powerful. Presence. The kind of old money power that never needs attention. That is why the Phantom became legendary. Because it represents ultimate confidence. A confidence so strong that it no longer needs to prove anything. At this level, Rolls-Royce stops feeling like transportation. It begins feeling like isolation from reality itself. The outside world becomes stressful, noisy, chaotic. But inside the Phantom, everything feels calm, controlled, perfect. And honestly, very few machines on Earth can replicate that feeling. Level 7. The untouchable. But even the Phantom is not the highest level. Because above normal Rolls-Royce cars exists something even more exclusive. Coach-built Rolls-Royce creations. Cars so rare that most people will never see one in real life. Cars designed specifically for billionaires. Cars like the Rolls-Royce Boat Tail. a vehicle reportedly worth tens of millions of dollars, and built for only a tiny number of people on Earth. At this level, Rolls-Royce stops behaving like a car company and starts behaving like a private luxury service. Every detail becomes customized. Every material becomes handcrafted. Every feature exists because one billionaire specifically requested it. The rear section of the boat tail opens like butterfly wings, revealing luxury compartments hidden underneath. Inside are custom dining sets, luxury umbrellas, champagne storage systems, handmade accessories. Everything designed specifically for the owner. This is no longer mass production. This is automotive art. And honestly, calling these vehicles cars almost feels disrespectful. Because they are closer to moving sculptures, rolling masterpieces built without normal financial limits. At level 7, money stops becoming the focus. Exclusivity becomes the focus. Because billionaires no longer want things everyone else can buy. They want things nobody else can access, and that is exactly what Rolls-Royce delivers. Machines created for an unbelievably small number of people on Earth, which is why Rolls-Royce became legendary. Not because it chased speed, not because it chased racing performance, but because it chased perfection.